We're in the countryside, and
spoons are different here.
And we are in Yorkshire, and we're outside of a little town called Yorkshire, my bad. And we're outside of a little town called Skipton, and we're going to be staying here for a week or two, or maybe 3 weeks, and just sort of recuperating from like all of the other traveling we've been doing in London and in Sweden and all of this stuff. That we've been super busy for like 3 months, so we've been looking very much forward to just having some like chill time. And it is pretty amazing here because you see all these like videos and stuff about like what England looks like in the countryside and stuff, and like we've watched Top Gear for years, and like we've watched different British shows and stuff, so you know they're on these like car trips and stuff through the countryside, and we're looking out the window and it's all come to life. And there's like all these little sheep out there on the hills on these super green little pastures, like little popcorns, like this, like it's unbelievable. And we've rented a little car. We took a bus today into Skipton from the smaller little town that we're staying in.
The car's name is Lamb Chop.
And the car's name is Lamb Chop because the car is white, just like little sheep that are sitting out on the popcorn hills. And we took the bus into Skipton, and a man gave us like a little short walk into the town, and we saw that Skipton is a cool looking little village. Like it's bigger than a village, I call it a little town. Yep. And it's got like a little canal that runs through it and stuff, and some boats that maybe in the future we can be a part of, because those boats can be part of our life. And it's just a quaint little town, and I'm looking forward to checking that out too. But today we're going for a ride out into the countryside. Like we got here and we're like, we're in the country, the first thing we need to do is go deeper into the country. So you look at the map, I guess, and found
some national park with lakes.
So we're gonna take a little trip in our little popcorn to check out some lakes.
Why aren't we calling it popcorn?
Oh, the car? Popcorn? Lamb chop or popcorn?
Lamb chop or popcorn?
Lamb chop.
Popcorn.
Popcorn's funner.
Popcorn
it is.
Popcorn, let's go.
In the UK, they drive on the side of the road that we don't drive on in the United States, which is the left side of the road. And the steering wheel is on the right side of the car, which is the same as Japan. So that aspect of this really isn't that strange for me. I don't drive often in Japan, but I have driven, and it's not like it's a big deal to get used to, believe it or not. Like everybody is always curious, like, oh, is it really hard to drive on the wrong side of the road? And it's not a big deal. Your brain adjusts to it really fast. But this is the first time I've ever driven a stick shift. The stick shift is always in the middle of the car, of course, and I'm driving stick with my left hand. And that feels pretty strange. It's not difficult, but I feel like I'm trying to eat with the wrong hand, you know, if you eat, or you try to write with your non-dominant hand or whatever. It just feels a little like crooked. And it's not hard, it's just a little odd. But luckily, the nice thing about the cars here is in Japan you have, again, right-hand drive, but they flip the turn signals and the wipers. Like the knobs are in the opposite direct places. So every time you go to turn the turn signal on, if you're an American driver, it's in a weird place, and then you turn your wipers on and blah, blah, blah. But here, the turn signal and the wiper button are on the same side as they are in the United States. So that all feels very natural. So if you balance those two things out, it's pretty easy to deal with.
We gotta have beverages for our ride. Eric chose Lipton iced tea peach. Really pushing the boundaries over there. I decided to go with a ginger Pepsi. Is this Pepsi? Yeah. Ginger Pepsi. I've never heard of this, never even seen it anywhere. So I don't really know what to expect, nor do I know how to undo a soda with my left hand. You are driving. Let's not. His hand was creeping over like he's gonna solve it with his left hand, and that's great that he's been stick shifting with his left hand, and he might have more confidence.
Skills though.
Yeah, all the confidence. Wow, it's really taken. There we go. Breaking some bits. Oh, it smells very gingery and very good.
Like a ginger ale ginger, or like a ginger, like root ginger? You know?
I would say root ginger.
Is it a spicy ginger?
It is, in smell, it's quite exciting. In flavor, It's not overwhelming. I think it only just adds to the Pepsi flavor and gives it a bit of, not bite, not spice, but like a little bit more zing than it normally would have. It's very good. I am glad that this is what I chose, because it was between this or the cherry, and I really love the cherry. It was really hard for me to go, okay, no, I'll get the ginger and I'll try something new. And that doesn't seem like me, but sometimes cherry Pepsi just takes over my life. But the ginger is quite good.
We're just driving through the countryside and going down these little curvy roads and these little like tight little areas where you have to wait for other cars to go by, and going through these cute little quaint villages with these little cottages. It's all really, really serene. And everywhere you drive along, there seems to be like a wall like this. And it's like, we both were like, that is so British. Like, it's like you're hardcore in the British countryside when you see these like stone walls where some of them are actually put together with maybe something to secure it together, but some of it's just a bunch of rocks stacked on top of each other. And it goes on for miles and miles and miles. We've kind of reached our destination of, where are we?
Where they accost you with birds.
Yeah.
I seriously just had birds land on my head. No provocation. I was just sitting here looking at my phone, seeing if there's any interesting restaurants, and then I had 2 birds on my head.
Briefly. I mean, it's not like they like roosted. They were just there for a few minutes.
There was plenty of time to take a shit.
Maybe 20 seconds or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were looking for snacks, not toilets though, so I think you're all right. But do you know the name of the place we're in?
Do I look like a toilet?
I mean, from my perspective, no, but maybe from a bird's perspective, they like to poo on statues, and you weren't moving, so.
I do look like snacks.
Where are we? Do you know the name of this
We're
place?
in Windermere.
Windermere.
Which is, we've just come into this, like, I don't know exactly the name of the national park, but it's a national park about lakes.
And we found a pretty nice looking lake, and in the distance there's like a mountain with some snow on it, and there's some birds landing on kyde. It's a pretty serene looking little area, and it seems to be maybe a little bit touristy, but there's like a little village that sits on the edge of the lake, and I think we're gonna walk over there and maybe see if we can find some snacks or something.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Is that what we're up for? All right, let's do it. Just a few hundred meters away from the little lake, we wandered into this little town, and it's like a picturesque little village with stone buildings and like really cool looking little area.
Pubs.
And pubs and pubs and pubs and pubs. We saw one, and it was called Hole in T apostrophe wall, like as in the wall, hole in the wall, hole into wall. And we just were like, okay, let's take a peek in here. And Katie stuck her head in and was like, it smells amazing in here. We're gonna,
It does.
like,
It smells like Thanksgiving.
yeah.
And it smells like prime Thanksgiving. Like, all
Yeah.
the food's been cooked. It's on the table. You better hurry. Things are getting cold.
And here we are, not hurrying enough. So
Yeah.
the other thing that I noticed when I went outside to shoot some shots of the exterior of the building is that the signs say that this place used to be frequented by Charles Dickens, and that it's like from the 1600s. I'm not sure if our food is representative of the 1600s. Yours might be.
Pork pie might
Pork
be.
pie?
It's a very simple inside with the pastry outside. And it's got to be baked in some way, but it doesn't feel as though it's like super baked and very flaky. It's still like a thick crust and then just a big slather of meat in the middle.
All right. Well,
Oh, I should probably try it. I'm stealing your fork and knife right now.
okay. All right.
I feel like cutting it on the napkin feels weird. Okay. I think the pork is more like a kind of potted meat.
It looks like a Spam to me from this
Oh,
angle.
and I love Spam, even uncooked.
Is it
We're gonna love it.
warm? I guess you don't know yet.
Don't know.
You haven't dribbled it.
It's not hot. I chose a big bite.
So is it hot or cold? Do you have any, like...
Cold.
It's cold, straight up.
Spam without feeling as gross. I don't really know
Like
how to
healthy
explain
Spam
like
somehow?
Spam when you take it out, it's got that jello on the outside that you have to like scrape off the side. This is maybe they already pre-scraped it.
And your dish was called, it had like sides, but what did they call it?
Scratchings,
Scratchings.
which I think are these little bits.
Any idea what it is? This is your first scratch, and it was really hard.
I think it's just like cackling. It's just fat that's been deep fried.
Oh, really? Is it fun? Is it fun?
It's crunchy and then fat on the inside.
It's super crunchy. Is the fat inside soft?
Can't hear you when I crunch. What?
Is the fat inside soft?
Yeah. Wow, that was like riding on a bumpy road. Instead, it was in my face. Yeah, so this feels super duper traditional. And it was only 4.5 pounds, so I thought, oh, it's just gonna be the pork pie. I was wrong. What I need to learn is that I should just order what I want and find out how big it is, because this could like fill me. Like, I would be totally happy with what I got, but I asked for a side salad on top of that, and now I've definitely got more food than I actually need.
When you walk in this place, it looks like hardcore, like a pub. Like this like really traditional image of a pub. It really has that atmosphere, and there's like a fireplace burning. And
Bullshit corner.
oh yeah, right next to Bullshit Corner where we be chilling, which is, I mean, maybe that's appropriate. And of course there's like a bar and everything, and lots of different selections for things to drink. And they have a specials menu and stuff, and on the specials menu were some things that we didn't know what were. So I asked, there was like a pumpkin and onion item, and then there was something with lamb, and they both have got a word that I was unfamiliar with, and it actually took us a long time to figure out what the lamb thing was, to even Google it, because it was hard to read with the handwriting. And I believe it's called lamb marrakech. And oddly enough, it is like a Moroccan food. So based on like what you're looking at inside of an English pub, you maybe would think that Katie's food is more likely what you're likely to get. But this, she said, was quite popular. So I went with that, and it's lamb, and I feel like that's probably pretty like appropriate because of all the sheep we've been seeing all day long. And it comes out not quite like a curry, but not quite unlike a curry in like a little dish. And it looks like a stewed type of meat that is in there. Okay, so there's beans, and the flavor of like beans is in there, like, and there's some barbecue sauce, kind of like Western style barbecue sauce. The meat is super soft, like it just falls apart in your mouth, and it's almost a little tiny bit sweet, and I think that's coming from the barbecue sauce. It's really damn good. There's no way this is healthy, but it's damn good. And we've also got a bunch of chips, which I think is going to be a welcome addition if I dip the chips into the sauce, and I do that. That's pretty damn good. That's a pretty good damn flavor. So even though maybe this isn't the most 1600 style jams, maybe this is modern day British jams, and I can get down on that.
We're in a pub. You should get a beer. Also, I'll be in the passenger seat. Hooray for me. That's usually not the case. I chose Old Tom. Alcohol content, people. It's the only reason I pick
That's the only
any
reason?
beverage.
How high is the alcohol content on it?
Well, yeah,
Old Tom? Is he high?
we're strong zero worlds here.
Oh, it's 8.5.
8.5.
That's strong for a beer.
Yeah, so that's usually how I choose my beers, and they tend to come more of a bitter flavor, so my tongue has become prone to that, and that says quality to me now. Overall, it's not super bitter. It's actually got a little bit of sweetness. It said it's made with dark chocolate and some other stuff that also looked okay. And it's a beer at a pub with a pork pie. I've done this correctly. People are going to be upset I didn't say ale. My bad.
Real talk, sometimes people are walking by and they're speaking English and I have zero idea what they're saying. This happens more than I'd like to admit, to be completely honest. That meal was a little bit on the heavy side, so we have taken a little walk through the little village, and it is consistently cute. It gets a little touristy in some areas, it seems like, but it seems like it
gets a bit boring in the middle there. So it's like an Oreo. Down near where we were was like the village area, and that's the chocolatey crust. We got into the cream, and that was really boring. And now we're at the top crust, and that is
wonderful.
This amazing view.
We had a really good like hike up this little road, and then it turned into not a dirt road, it turned into a dirt road, like a muddy little boggy path.
But that's not how people think about Oreos. Everybody thinks
the cream is the
best
good part. Yeah.
I can't do the analogy differently. That's all I can explain is you think about Oreos wrong.
Well, maybe you're just down on the chocolate part.
I like it all.
But we have a wonderful view of the lake that was down where our car is parked, and it is pretty nice.
Popcorn.
With the sun going, oh yeah, car's name is Popcorn. And the sun is going to be going down soon, so we might go out here and get lost in this forest in the night. How do you feel about that?
That we'll just go back to town now. We're getting lost in the forest. I've heard stories about wolves. I've heard stories about moose. I've heard stories about tons of animals, most of these in Sweden. But I heard these stories nonetheless.
In Sweden, it's kind of close.
And I think that we should just avoid the woods at all costs. Sat here thinking to myself, I should put my glasses on. My glasses are already...
Being lost in the forest wasn't so bad. Are those owls we can hear?
Could be.
Yeah, something. Hopefully it's not a moose or whatever you thought you were concerned with. Also of note, like we said, that we keep seeing things that are like super, super, super English in our heads. And we were talking earlier about the stone walls that are everywhere. And here they have stone walls as well. But they've leveled up the Englishness and thrown moss all over it. Because like that's another thing that like kind of in my head seems like, you know, an English thing. It's rainy here, it's mossy here. Those are all like adjectives that go together and work. And now we've got the super mossy brick walls. And it feels like, I don't know, man, we've fallen into like a Robin Hood movie or something.
Yeah, we're gonna see how high it can get. Today is pretty English day.
The only way it could go up higher is if I see a snake with like a balloon around its head floating, you know?
What does that mean? A snake with a balloon around its head?
The Robin Hood cartoon, dude.
Oh.
You remember seeing
No,
Sir
I never
Hiss?
saw this.
You never saw Sir Hiss?
All I remember is where Robin Hood tried to
Shit.
sneak in there and he took the money. And that's all. The only reason I remember that is because it was on the Swedish Donald Duck hour for Christmas.
No way, dude. Impossible. Super slippery. There's no challenge, but at least I'm alive. It's like ice. I think this is as high as I'm gonna get. Maybe over here?
The what house? Should we go back there? Farmer, coming to keep the sheep in the air. I don't know what else they would say about the farm.
You got bye-bye now.
We hope you enjoyed our first video from the English countryside. More to come soon. Also, take a look at our recently revamped Patreon page, complete with a new video of us explaining how Patreon helps us keep making videos for everyone to enjoy. Links on screen and down below.